Hello again. Today we are going to be getting into my 16-week plan for how I'm going to make the functionality of the app work. And I am really excited to get into this part because getting the app to work, getting it to actually building it, just it's super exciting to me. So I'm excited to give you the overall layout, the grand scheme of what I'm thinking about, and then after this the following videos will start getting more into like the specifics, into the details. So without further ado, we'll start talking about the plan.
So the 16-week plan is split up into three phases. Phase one is the longest phase. It's an 8-week phase, and it's around the core functionality of the app, getting it to function properly, getting it to build the workout programs themselves. That's what phase one is primarily focused on. Phase two here is focused on visual design and user experience, and this is just going to be making sure it looks good, first of all, and then user experience. This is also going to include things like um, little tricks to keep people more accountable, incorporating like community support, that type of stuff. And then the third phase here is testing and refinement, and this is just everything to make sure that it is fully ready for launch, making sure it's been tested under higher loads, and just generally getting feedback from other people to see how I can tweak the app to make it better. Okay, so if we jump back up to phase one here, we've got profile and testing logic. So the profile part, this means that I'm just trying to finish the initial quiz that I'm going to give them regarding like their fitness background, how much working out they've done recently, all that type of stuff, and it can just tell me how much I need to teach them new movements. Like if someone's never done a squat before, obviously you need to teach them how to do it safely. So like if they say like, oh, I've been lifting for 2 years, then you get to skip that part. And then testing logic, this is about how seeing the numbers that they can do right now. So the first week of the program is going to be a testing week, and there are going to be testing weeks um, depending on how long of a program they choose to do. Obviously, with the 6 week one, the first week and the last week will be the testing weeks. But basically, the week will just be you do a few tests. It'll be like you'll do some running, you'll do some stretching, and then you'll do some lifting stuff. And all of it is just to get an idea of how good of shape you're in. And it can also help us to estimate the numbers that people are going to be lifting so that it can give them numbers to start with, and then it'll be able to adjust day to day and based on like the variances of different people and how different exercises translate. So week two is exercise progressions, and this is primarily for exercises that aren't just like a bench press, because a bench press you can kind of just put more weight on as you go. But it's more for things like pull-ups and push-ups and things that you need to be able to do fully. Um, what I mean by that is things that you don't just get to add more weight. So this is typically body weight exercises, is what I'm trying to say. So like here's an example. Like for example, it could be that like 6 wall push-ups, you can typically do one knee push-up if you can do that. And then if you can do 6 knee push-ups, typically you can do one normal push-up. So that's kind of the progressions that I'm going to build, and then I'll be able to plug those in later to the workout generation so that it can map out like how do we get someone to be able to do a pull-up who can't do a pull-up. And then week three is going to focus on time allocation. So this is what I mean by this, and you can see it here, is the split between lifting, endurance, power, and mobility. So lifting is obviously for the strength side of things. Endurance is for making sure people can go on hikes and they can play with their families without getting out of breath. Power ensures safety if they ever want to or decide to move quickly. This is so like when they go play football on Thanksgiving, they don't tear their hamstring because they haven't run in a while and they haven't moved quickly. And then mobility, it helps with everything, but it also just helps people to move freely and avoid some of the day-to-day pains. And then these will be different based on the goal someone has and like if they're deficient in certain areas. So we can use their profile and testing results to see the deficiencies, and then their goals will change which ones you prioritize. Like if you're prioritizing sports, then power is going to be really important because you need to move quickly for most sports. So then week 4, I'm going to try and have the static workout generator completed. And what this means is that it's the workout generation, but it doesn't include the AI, like automatic adjustment part. So this will just give 6 weeks of workouts to do, and it'll give all the exercises, all of the runs, all of that type of stuff. And it will just have everything estimated out to where to the numbers that you think someone will hit. So let's say week 1, we think that they can bench press 100 pounds. And then by week 4, we think that they can bench press 110 pounds for the same number of reps. It'll sort of just estimate those out. But then later, once we get to week 6, I'll add in the adaptive part. So I'll talk about that in a second. Week 5 is guided workout flow, and that's one of the key features of the app that I think is going to be make it super unique. Um, it's going to have like this is where we're going to have the mascot showing you how to do the workouts, like showing you how to do each exercise. But it's also going to be a place for where the user can put in their inputs, where they can put um, their rate of perceived exertion or their estimated reps in reserve. So this will be used later in week 6 right here for the adaptive workout engine, the first version of that. And this will allow us to adjust to the day-to-day differences in someone's lifting. So if one day someone's tired, they slept poor, their nutrition wasn't on, whatever it may be, that we can change the weights for that day to make it reasonable for that day, because you can't just expect someone, if their max is 200 pounds on a squat, you can't just expect them to be able to hit 200 pounds every single time. So you need to be able to adjust to day-to-day variations. And then also it's going to allow, actually not so much in this version, but more in week 7 and 8 is when I'm going to work on this, because this one is focusing on the day-to-day adjustments, but it'll focus on trends and it'll figure out, okay, someone is progressing this fast at these exercises, or they're not progressing at these exercises, but they are at these other ones. So then we have to implement, okay, so we can use a different workout, like a different lifting strategy for this one. So like maybe we have to focus more on this one and get extra reps in on a certain exercise because that one's falling behind the other ones. And that's where the AI is going to come in. It's going to be able to analyze trends and analyze if someone is being overworked or if they think that they can put in more effort. That's where the AI is really going to come into play. So moving on to phase 2 with the visual design and user experience. So week 9 is going to be mascot design and accountability functions. So it's primarily going to be accountability functions, but I'm also going to work. So if you can see weeks 9 and 10, mascot is in there. I'm just going to be working on the mascot, trying to build out an easy to animate design for that. Because you'll see in week 11, I have to pump out 75 different exercise demonstrations. So those are going to be worked on sort of as more of a background project in week 9 and 10. But the primary thing I'm going to be doing for week 9 is accountability functions. So this is the streaks, the challenges, the notifications, the community support. And these ones are all just going to be to try and keep people engaged, keep them coming back, as well as obviously the monetary, like the win your money back challenge that I mentioned in the first video. So these are going to be really important, and I'm going to look at apps like Duolingo that that have gone really heavily into this, because consistency is obviously the key for learning a language, and it's the same thing for lifting. So I'm going to look at how other apps, Duolingo is what I'm saying, is have been using that and how I can leverage some of their techniques to keep people coming back to my app. So, and then app design, this is just making it look good, making everything making it look put together, because the AI um, coding that I've used to design it, while I have tried to adjust it a lot, it still does need some work. So I'm going to go through and actually make designs for these, and just the AI will just put them in there, like put them into the buttons and all those things. But I will design all the buttons. And then week 11, like I talked about before, is the mascot animations, and this part's going to be key to making it feel like a cohesive app, so that you can have like, actually, it is very similar to the Duolingo, like how you have the bird who like encourages you, and you have the people who are like talking to you, and it feels um, much more put together and much more personal than it would if it's just saying, okay, here's the exercises. So this is going to be a key part of the app. And then polishing is just going to be fixing any issues, and this could even be things that I noticed that I've never fixed or did not notice from the first phase. So this will just be polishing everything out. It's sort of a buffer week to make sure that I can stay on pace. And then finally, we're on to phase 3, which is testing and refinement. So week 13 is the alpha testing phase. This will just be me going through, basically just testing out a bunch of different hypothetical profiles and seeing if it makes sense, if I think that these are the right type of exercises to be doing for someone with the profile that I input, those types of things. Weeks 14 and 15 will be testing with friends and family. So this can help me get into the human side of things. Um, and it can help me to understand how I can better implement those psychological tricks into the app, because in week 1, I can find the bugs and find where I think, oh, it should have done one more of this exercise, or it's pushing this one too hard, that type of stuff. But testing with friends and family will really allow me to see how it affects the human side of things. And then final testing and preparing for launch, week 16. Yeah, it's pretty much speaks for itself, just making any final fixes, and then it'll be ready to launch.
So that is the 16-week plan to get prepared for launch. And then in the next video, I'll talk about sort of the business plan, just some general thoughts around how I'm going to market it, how I'm going to make it profitable using the win your money back technique. And then after that, I get to get into the week to week updates, just of how things have gone, any troubles that have arisen, any new thoughts that I come up with, and I'm super excited to get into that. So yeah, thank you. I'll see you next time.